Welcome to Geopolitics Universe. In today's video I will be discussing and explaining the new partnership between Iran and Russia and how it will end up collapsing the US economy with its plan. But first, I would just like to welcome you to Geopolitics Universe. This is a channel where we share the latest news, rumors, and insights into all things on geopolitics. You'll be able to find news surrounding all things to do with geopolitics. I would really appreciate it if you could please like and subscribe. Also, I just wanted to announce, as we are a new channel which is growing by the day, we will be launching a giveaway for a $50 Amazon gift card. All you have to do to enter is like and subscribe. The giveaway winner will be announced in due course. Now let's carry on with the video. Russian Deputy Prime Minister Alexander Novak and Iranian Oil Minister Javad Aoji have discussed the prospects for cooperation in a number of joint projects, including in the oil and gas industry. The meeting was held in Moscow on the sidelines of the Second Caspian Economic Forum. According to a report by Interfax, the ministers of Russia and Iran touched upon the prospects for cooperation between the two countries in the global oil and gas market and possible joint projects in Iran, as well as cooperation in the banking and trade sectors. The existing bilateral agreements worth $40 billion have also been discussed during the meeting. While addressing the meeting, Minister Novak revealed Russia's plans to conclude an oil and gas swap deal with Iran by the end of the year, and added that technical details are being worked out, issues of transport, logistics, price, and tariff formation. According to him, these are commercial contracts that must be worked out in detail. We believe that at the first stage the amount will be about 5 million tons of oil per year, and for gas, up to 10 billion cubic meters, Novak said. In turn, Minister Aoji announced the readiness of Tehran to attract the capital of Russia in Iran's oil and gas sector and touched upon participation in field development plans, swap of petroleum products, and export of petrochemicals. Meanwhile, on the sidelines of the forum in Moscow, Iran's first vice president Mohammad Mokhtar met Russian Prime Minister Mikhail Mishustin. At the meeting, he listed transportation, transit, energy, and activating the North-South corridor as the most important axes of cooperation between Iran and Russia. He further stressed that establishing a joint bank, electrifying the Garmsur-Inspiran railway, speeding up oil and gas contracts, and creating a free trade zone are among other areas of cooperation that the sides must pursue seriously. Referring to a meeting of managers of major Russian companies with an Iranian delegation on October 5, Mokhtar said that they had discussed investment in oil fields, as well as in the agricultural, financial, banking, transit and transportation sectors, and had decided to work out a timetable for their implementation. For his part, the Russian Prime Minister welcomed the presence and activity of Iranian companies in Russia, saying that the field for joint activity and cooperation is available for our partners in Russia. Mishustin also described the expansion of bilateral relations as the best response to illegal sanctions against the two countries. Iran and Russia are planning to deepen relations in the face of existing tensions with the West. Iran does not officially recognize the sanctions against Russia and continues to develop trade and economic relations with Moscow. Since the start of the war in Ukraine, relations between Russia and Iran have flourished. Having been hit by a new raft of tough Western sanctions over its invasion of Ukraine, Moscow set about looking for alternative partners among other traditionally anti-Western countries, including to bypass trade restrictions, and Iran looks set to be one of the most promising. The aspect of their relationship that has attracted the most attention recently is Russia's use of Iranian drones to terrorize Ukrainian cities. Both the Russian and Iranian governments have denied that the kamikaze drones the Russian army is using in Ukraine are Iranian, but all the evidence suggests that they are. Ukraine's military intelligence services said at the end of October that Iran was also about to start supplying Russia with missiles. This is far from the extent of their joint projects, however. This year has seen a record number of meetings between senior Russian officials and their Iranian counterparts, including a visit to Tehran by Russian President Vladimir Putin. There was much discussion at these meetings of how to circumvent Western sanctions with Iran's help. They were also aimed at showing Russian domestic audiences that Russia is not isolated on the international stage, despite Western efforts. The meetings did yield concrete agreements, too. Gazprom, for example, has promised to invest $40 billion in Iran's oil and gas sector, while Iranian spare parts for both motor vehicles and airplanes, as well as vehicles themselves, will be exported to Russia. There has also been a surge in the number of flights between the two countries, while their trade turnover, which stood at $4 billion in 2021, could reach $6 billion in the near future, according to Tehran. This is not to say, however, that Iran will be able to compensate the Russian economy for the losses incurred as a result of Western sanctions. Even if those forecasts for the growth in trade turnover are accurate, that is still less than 1% of Russia's total foreign trade. There is a huge gap between Iran and countries like Turkey, whose trade with Russia is worth about $30 billion a year. Even the new agreements have raised more doubts than optimism. Iran's civil aviation industry has been in crisis for many years, also due to Western sanctions, and certainly will not be salvaged by the sale of individual parts to Russia. The Iranian automobile industry has also seen better days. This year, the government decided to stop manufacturing a range of models due to their excessive fuel consumption, poor safety and ecological standards, and high cost compared with similar models made elsewhere. It will make up for the deficit by importing foreign cars. There are areas in which Iran could fill a niche on the Russian market, such as pharmaceuticals, construction materials, and cosmetics. But the potential for development is hardly unlimited. Implementing large-scale Russian state projects in Iran and making them cost-effective won't be plain sailing either. Tehran has a deficit of hard currency and has been battling a budget deficit for years. This has created problems for Moscow in the past. Iran has still not paid off its debts to Russia for building the Bushehr nuclear plant. As of 2021, it still owed over $500 million. The new initiatives, such as the construction of the Sirik power plant and the electrification of Iran's railways, are due to be financed with the help of a Russian loan for $5 billion. If Moscow's mission is to increase its political influence in Iran using these projects, then its approach can perhaps be justified. That it certainly won't help to save the Russian economy at a time of sanctions. Any project may be further complicated by the various and growing waves of protests Iran has been seeing for the last 18 months. The outbursts of unrest are becoming increasingly massive, protracted, and uncompromising in their criticism of the country's political regime. The authorities' harsh response, closing down public places and limiting internet access, is only making matters worse. If the government loses control of the situation in the country overall, or even in individual regions, Iran could be plunged into a severe, Venezuela-style crisis, leading to increased crime, taxation problems, and difficulties maintaining critical infrastructure. This level of instability is creating serious investment risks and getting in the way of implementing any agreements. Another major obstacle to cooperation is that in Iran, Russia is still widely seen for historical reasons as a colonial power seeking to gain control over local resources. Polling shows that public opinion of Russia nosedived in Iran following the invasion of Ukraine. In February and March, there were even small-scale protests in Tehran against Moscow's actions. It will not be easy, therefore, for the Iranian authorities to present the rapprochement with Russia as an achievement to the public. Major deals with Moscow could themselves spark further protests. Just last year, there were mass demonstrations in Tehran following the signing of a long-term strategic cooperation agreement with China. Iran could teach Russia plenty about living under sanctions. This is really the area with the most potential for experience sharing. Iran's example shows, however, that while the negative impact of sanctions can be mitigated, it cannot be negated entirely. Iran's GDP in absolute terms is roughly what it was back in 2010-2011, when the main sanctions package against Tehran was introduced, while per capita it's at the level it was back in 2004-2005. The Iranian experience is hardly an inspiring one. With the rapprochement between Moscow and Tehran showing no sign of ending anytime soon, the potential for cooperation in certain areas, like military technology, may look promising. But Iran cannot be counted upon to help the Russian economy withstand the impact of sanctions in any significant way. Thanks so much for watching till the end. Please like, comment and subscribe and turn the notification bell on so you never miss a video. I would really appreciate it if you do this, as it really helps support the channel. On this channel we share the latest news, rumors, and insights into all things on geopolitics. You'll be able to find news surrounding all things to do with geopolitics around the world and more. Until next time, see you later.